James and Mitchell here, and in this video I'll be doing your tarot reading for the week of December the 21st, 2015. So stay tuned. And here we are at the table, and the deck assisting me for this week's reading is the Fairy Tarot cards. They're by Doreen Virtue, Radleigh Valentine, and Howard David Johnson. And so just as I do every week that I do these general weekly readings, so I'm taking the deck in hand, and I'm asking the question, what do we need to know for the week ahead in terms of what potentials lie ahead and what are the possibilities for the week ahead? And so as I shuffle, I look for cards to stick out, and I pull three. The first card is going to represent the beginning of the week. The second card is going to represent the middle of the week. And then the third card will represent the end of the week. So these are our cards. Just getting them in the shot. Okay. And so I always like to start off with the card that's at the bottom of the deck, because it can always represent what I call the base or the foundation card. So the card at the bottom of the deck is the Ten of Spring. The Ten of Spring can come up when we have a lot going on. There is a lot to do or a lot of work that needs to be done when the Ten of Spring appears. We may be feeling like there's a lot on our plates, we have a lot of commitments, to the point where we may be overextending ourselves, because one of the things that I see with the Ten of Spring is, there's a possibility of, being overworked, overburdened, you're running yourself tired, or you're running on empty, and there's a chance that you can get burned out. And for some of us, this is the week where, at the end of the week, we'll be celebrating Christmas. So if you happen to observe Christmas, you may be falling into Ten of Springs category if you have a lot of places to be in terms of meeting with people and entertainment and commitments of that nature, or if you have a lot of shopping you still have left to do, or if you're working and you have a lot of office Christmas parties, things of that nature, then this would all fall under the Ten of Spring. Just a whole lot going on, and so much so that you may be overextended. Now, sometimes with the Ten of Spring, this card is about responsibilities. It's about shouldering a load, carrying a burden. If you notice on the picture, there is a woman who is carrying a load, and if you look, there are two baskets, so it looks like scales on her back. And so one side of the scale is higher than the other, so that can represent an imbalance. So it's asking us to consider how we might be out of balance with all that we are carrying, all the burdens that we've got, all the responsibilities on our shoulders, how we be out of balance, making sure that we get that all to work. So take that into account. Also, too, with responsibility, sometimes when I see this card, it can represent asking ourselves the question is like, are all the responsibilities that we have chosen to take on, chosen to shoulder, are they ours, or are we allowing other people to not assume responsibility for things that they can do? When I worked my corporate job, this card came up as a warning sign for me that if I didn't take the time to delegate certain responsibilities and job duties and things of that nature, that I was going to burn myself out. And I am sorry to say that I did burn myself out, because the challenge with the Ten of Spring is like you may be falling under the belief or the idea that you either can do it all by yourself or that you have to do it all by yourself. Like my story used to be like, if I wanted it done right, I would just do it myself. And that led me or put me on the road to getting burnt out, which I did. So what happens here is, if you look in the picture, the woman is looking at a little fairy on the one side here, and the fairy is trying to get her attention to see if the fairy can offer her some assistance for the load that she's carrying. And so sometimes what it could be is like, if you are of the mindset like I used to be, that you have to do it all yourself, then what you might want to consider doing is, what are the small jobs, going with the fairy, what are the little things, the small things that you could farm out to other people and let them take them on? Because the underlying truth to that story is that when you say that you can do it all yourself, or if you want something done right, you'll just do it yourself, is that you're not trusting other people to either A, get the job done, or B, do it the way that you would do it. And that's the truth. The truth is they're not going to do it the way you would do it, because they're not you. And so you have to be willing to let go of that, all that control, because that's really what it is. It's like you're holding on to control and holding on to it rather tightly. But in the long run, you're going to be doing more damage to yourself than to the other people that you would entrust those things to. But the small fairy here on the card is saying, start small. Trust people with the small things, and when they do that and you feel comfortable with that, then you can trust them to do more. The card reads, ask for help from others, all work and no play, being weighed down by too many responsibilities. So that is a 10 of spring, and that is our foundation card for the week. Now, going to the first card, which is going to represent the beginning of the week, we have 3 of autumn. Okay, this is one of my personal favorite cards, the 3 of autumn. In this deck, autumn is the suit of pentacles, so this is the 3 of pentacles. So at the beginning of the week, this is a card that represents gradual progress being made. So if you are working on things, like some of these things with the 10 of spring, like if you have a whole lot going on, you may see some gradual progress with things getting done, things getting accomplished. It could be, going back to what I said about the 10 of spring and responsibility, sometimes the 3 of autumn represents, a collective effort, a group effort, getting more people involved in what it is that you're trying to accomplish. There is a saying by the Buddha that I have always remembered, and it goes like this. It says, many hands make light work. So at the beginning of the week, who could you allow to assist you in getting some work done? Sometimes the 3 of autumn is about things going according to plan, and it's about implementing a plan. So it could be, in order to help you, it's creating what I call a plan of action. When I used to be in my corporate job, referring to that again, we used to call our strategies plan of actions. What would be the plan of action you would need to implement to get things moving? Now, this could also be for those of you who are either on a career path or a business path. The 3 of autumn is a self-employment card. So for those of you who are self-employed, this card says that you are working on something. It's a gradual progress, but you are working on something that's going to put you on the path of doing your own thing. The 3 of autumn, whether you are self-employed or you're on a career track with a company, a corporation, organization, this card says that you have a reputation for something. This card represents, being well known for, some specialization. So if you went to school for a certain type of diploma or a certain type of certification, that is what you are building your career on. Because this card for me can represent, going from a spiritual standpoint, the spiritual architect. So this card represents building on something. So as you're moving forward with your work or your career, whatever that is, in whatever form it takes for you, what are you building on? What do you have a reputation for being known for? This is the card of mastery. So what trade, craft, or skill have you mastered? Because this is what you're being called to move forward in, to make some more progress in at the beginning of the week. Sometimes with the 3 of autumn, I see this as a making room for a child card. So some of you watching this video may be in a place where either you are, creating a blueprint for a space, or you're actually decorating a space. And you may also be doing it with the intention of creating a space for a child to be moving in. So those are some other aspects of the 3 of autumn. The card reads, follow your passion when it comes to your career. Be the best at what you do. Being compensated for your creative talents. So that's the card at the beginning of the week. In the middle of the week, we have the Six of Spring. And I like that it follows the Three of Autumn. So now I didn't say this when the Ten of Spring showed up, but if you read traditional tarot, the suit of spring in this deck corresponds to wands. So we have the Six of Spring or the Six of Wands. And so this is a card that represents rewarding and meaningful work. Just like I said here with Three of Autumn, when the Six of Spring, appears, it represents recognition for what it is that you do. So we have two cards that are saying the same thing. And I love the fact that the woman who's riding on the horse or the unicorn is looking right at the Three of Autumn. So she's facing that direction. So it's about being recognized for what it is that you do. So in the middle of the week, we might be faced with some sort of praise, acclaim, recognition. You know, those of you who are on a career path or self-employment, you know, I tend to read it from the place that I'm in. My focus has been for most of my life work and as an employee and now as, you know, a self-employed person. So I tend to see those kinds of things in the cards when they stand out. These two cards are saying too, like, it's about you moving into the space, doing the work that you would find both rewarding and allow you to get compensated for. So again, this would be, you know, again, how can you move into the sphere of doing the work that you love to do, that you would find rewarding and meaningful, and that you would be compensated for. Again, since she's looking this way, it's about looking at what it is that you have built a reputation on. The other thing about the Six of Spring for me, it can represent, you know, being supported in that. So in the middle of the week, we might gain not only just praise and recognition, but we may gain some support that helps us move forward. So that's the Six of Spring. Now, going to the end of the week, we have the Three of Summer. So very interesting. We have 3 cards here. 3 is the number of creative self-expression. I call the 3 is about finding your voice. You know, so here, you know, we're talking about with these 2 first cards about, you know, finding the work that you find rewarding, that you are skilled at doing. That's part of your voice. You know, your voice is not just, you know, artistic expression. It's all about what you do with your hands, you know, as well as what you do with your voice. You know, anything that you can do that's an expression or that becomes a form of your expression, that's what the 3 is all about. The 3 is also a number of results. So for me, the 3 is the number that adds up to 1, which is the first masculine number, and 2, which is the first feminine number, and then you add those 2 together and you get 3. So 3 is the number of results. It's the number of productivity as a result of being a product, things of that nature. It's the number of manifestation. So having said that, so this may be the week where we actually get to see some manifestation. Now, in particular with the 3 of Summer, rounding out the end of the week, this is the week where a lot of us here in the States where I'm at, and I'm guessing in other parts of the world that observe and celebrate the holiday, this is the week of Christmas. So it's very nice that we have the 3 of Summer as the card that rounds out the end of the week, because the 3 of Summer is a card that represents good times and celebrations. This is a card of getting together with other people. You know, this is the card of, you know, of great food, great wine, you know, singing and dancing, talking about the idea of using your voice. This is like singing and dancing, you know, so some of us may get together with other people. And this is when I say get together with other people. It's people who are on a similar wavelength as you. This is like like-minded people. So for some of us, it could be actual family. For some of us, it could be, you know, people that we just get on well with and just like to hang out with. You know, I tend to look at this card as like, you know, girls' night out, or, you know, a night out with the fellas, you know, that kind of energy. It's about, you know, sometimes with people who share a similar hobby or interest. So it could be, you know, social groups. It could be clubs. It could be, anything of that kind of nature. There's either, something that kind of unites all of us together, something similar that we all share and enjoy in. But rounding out the week for the holiday, this would be, again, like I said, great food, great wine, hanging out with people, singing, dancing, just having all sorts of fun. So it's very interesting that we started off with the foundation card being the Ten of Spring, and it said on the card, all work and no play. This card is making sure you get the play in there. And the Ten of Spring, remember now, she had the knapsack or the load on her back that looked like imbalance. And so how can you, if you're like the all work and no play person, how can you move from that to bringing in more play into your life? But I like this rounding out the end of the week. So at the end of the week, we can see lots of positive energy with people that we know. Now, I will say this. Sometimes I said here with the Three of Autumn is that this can be a card of making room for a child. Well, then one of the things could be, this is social events and social gatherings. It could be like going to a baby shower, going to a party for a baby, like baby's first birthday, something of that nature, but I'm just seeing that kind of energy here at the beginning of the week and the end of the week. So I didn't want to overlook it. So it could be like we have lots to celebrate. We have lots of things to recognize, and it could be around a child. So now the Three of Summer reads, news worth celebrating, announcements such as weddings, graduations, or births, friends you cherish. And so now the other thing I want to say, because I said I read about business, so the last thing I want to say, if you are of the business mindset and you're working on getting your career going, then the Three of Summer is an important card for you because it represents networking. The Six of Spring in this regard would be like, how can you talk about what it is that you do? Because I sometimes see the Six of Spring as a public speaking card. But the Three of Summer is about networking, and it could be networking at social events or social gatherings. So if you get any invitations this week, you might want to consider them. And then when people ask you that question, when they get together and they haven't seen you for a while and they ask you that question, we all get it, what do you do? Then this might be an opportunity for you to create connections within a social environment. I also see the Three of Summer as, the idea of, they say it's sometimes when you're looking for work or you're trying to create more opportunities for work, it all boils down to who you know. So the Three of Summer is about friends who know friends. So you might be talking to somebody and they go, oh, I have a friend, or I know a friend of a friend, and, maybe I can get you connected. It would be making connections in that kind of way. So that's the Three of Summer. I didn't want to leave that out. So the next thing that we can do is we can look at the numbers on the cards and to determine what would be the major arcana card that would represent the overall lesson for the week. So we have the Three of Autumn with the so Six of Spring. So that's 3 and 6 is 9, and then another 3, and that gives us 12. So the 12th major arcana card in the deck is, in this deck, it's called Awakening, but if you follow the traditional system of tarot, then you will know it as the Hangman. And here's the card. So Awakening just asks us to look at things from a different perspective. So this card represents, like I said, a change in perspective. He's hanging upside down, or he's standing, in this particular image, he's standing on his hands like a handstand, and so in this position he sees his world differently. So this card is asking us, how can we take a look at our lives in a different way? Now, in terms of expression, because it's very interesting that I have a three card here, a 3 card here, and then if you look, the 12 also reduces to 3, because I said 1 plus 2, right, equals 3, and here we have 1 and 2. So this card here is also asking us to embrace what it is that makes us different. This card is about embracing your uniqueness, embracing your difference, and marching to the beat of your own drum. So how can you do that this week? And also, too, as you do that for yourself, allow yourself the opportunity to be able to do that for other people as well. Because the truth is, in spirit, we're all connected and everything is one. So when we do it for ourselves, we also allow ourselves to do it for other people. So again, this card is saying, what are you going to be willing to see in a different way this week that you haven't seen before? And then how can you embrace what makes you you, and also to be willing to allow other people to be who they are. And this is going to be a big thing around the holidays. We really need to embrace that. And so rounding out the cards, again, at the beginning of the week, we had the Three of Autumn. This is building on your skills, building on your reputation, having plans that are gradually making progress, plans that are needing to be implemented to move forward. Things are on track. This is a good sign. Six of Spring, in the middle of the week, this card is about praise, recognition. If you are working, or if you're in your own business, and this card says on some level your work being, acknowledged, your work being praised, that kind of energy. And also too, an underlying need for recognition. So as you seek recognition, sometimes what it is that we're seeking for ourselves, we sometimes have to give that out to other people. So if you're seeking recognition, how can you recognize others? Because what it is that you put out in terms of energy for other people, it comes back to you. And then the Three of Summer, especially with this being the week of the holiday of Christmas, this is a nice card to have at the end of the week because it represents good times, celebrations, get-togethers with other people, just cherishing the people that you like to hang out with, that you enjoy their company, and that enjoys yours. So this has been your Week in Tarot. I am James Himm Mitchell, and I look forward to sharing this space here with you in our next video. And until then, have a tarot-tastic week. If you are observing the holiday, I wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holiday, and I'll see you next week. Take care.